Hey, welcome to another episode of Cherish Your Yoni. I'm here with my good sis Aleecia from Brown Sugar Co. Hey girl. And we'll be talking about yoni health. Aleecia is an advocate for women and womb wellness, and she's a certified bad bitch. Hey!
Period.
No, so she's a certified vaginal steaming facilitator. Is that a say right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. I feel like we've been trying to link up for like ever. So we finally got it.
I know.
We finally did it. It's all exciting.
Yes. I met Aleecia off Instagram. Wait, off Instagram or through Billy?
Instagram. Were you in Clubhouse or were you just?
No.
Okay, yeah, Instagram.
Yeah.
Via Live.
Via Live.
Yeah.
We connected. This is when I first kind of started thinking about Cherish Your Yoni, and sis would always, girl, what's up with that podcast? I'm like, it's coming. And so here we are.
Yes.
Yes. So vaginal steaming has been very popular recently, even though it has been an ancient thing going on for centuries. I actually looked up vaginal steaming and the history of it, and it says, even though it's been trendy in the last few years, this is an actual ancient indigenous culture in Asia, African, Australian, South African, American countries for centuries. It is the practice in which a woman allows the warmth of an herbal steam to permeate the vagina and cleanse it to revitalize the uterus. So tell us about yourself and how you started Brown Sugar Co.
Okay, so like you said, hey guys, my name is Aleecia. A little bit about me. I grew up in a Caribbean household. My mom is Guyanese.
Okay.
And so you know.
Yeah.
So we was raised with straight herbs and bitters and fresh spices and things in the household. Every morning I had to drink my cod liver oil. Every Sunday we're drinking bitters and things like that. And as I got older, I just kind of was in that stage where I could make my own decisions, and you don't really feel a need to take it anymore.
Yeah.
And I moved on with my life because I'm young and I can make my own decisions about whether I want to take nasty stuff anymore. And then I ended up getting pregnant with my son, and I had him, and I just felt like way more connected to my womb. Cliche, because I'm not a mom,
Yeah.
So, like, it started with him where I was just trying to find alternative medicines. Like, if he was sick, like, different ways I can give him something. And then as I was, like, starting to dive deeper, I started to follow a reader, The Hood Healer on Instagram. That's my girl. I love me some Amani.
Shout out to Amani if you ever see this. Hey, girl.
But she always talked about stepping your pussy package up and all that stuff. So I remember hearing the word like Yoni Steamin like flashing around and how important it was. So I originally started to look to get the service. And as I was researching, I was like, well, how do you even get certified to even like give this service to anybody? And I found a school. Oh my God. I really wish I could remember the name.
I didn't even know they had a school.
Okay. Yeah, for the certification. And it was an online school. And I remember me signing up for it. And during that time, I also was researching stuff about like elderberry. And I was, started to sell elderberry, like loose herbs first.
Okay.
And the funny thing was about that, it was like I was doing everything wrong. I was buying all the herbs in bulk. I was pricing it at like $20 for like this much herbs. That was daggone make almost a liter of elderberry. I was actually in the deficit, so I didn't know, but I just really wanted to sell it and like share it so bad that I didn't even think about it. I was talking about raspberry leaf tea all the time, so I was doing those three things. And I remember COVID hit, and I was talking about your immune system like September of 2019. So I already had people purchasing elderberry from me, and then when the world shut down and everybody's talking about their immune system, Dr. Oz goes on Good Morning America and mentions the word elderberry, and all of the herbs just sold out. Like I couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was my moment where it was like, either you go, can I cuss?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, bitch, you either gonna go hard or gonna go home. Like, this is your time. This is your moment. Like, people told me a while ago, like, bottle up your stuff. I had all these excuses on why I couldn't do it. during COVID, we shut down March. In a month and a week, I had bottled up elderberry, created labels, had a website,
Yes.
had raspberry leaf tea available, and I think 8-ounce elderberry and the little elderberry shots ready to go, and I sold out in a weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was kind of the kickoff, and then I also had finished my vaginal steaming course and got certified March. I was supposed to announce in March that I was gonna be now taking clients, and the world shut down.
Right.
So from there, this is really a long-winded answer. I didn't realize. Okay. I'm like, dang, I'm really talking. Probably getting to all the other questions. It's like, well, but while I was taking the vaginal steaming course, I started to learn about so many things that herbs are good for, and what herbs do what for the body. And I was like, oh my god! And I fell down a rabbit hole. Yeah. And I found Herbal. Yeah, I found Herbal Academy online, and I decided to sign up for their beginner. Write it down. Their beginners herbal course. When I tell you that was the most like extensive self-paced course I've ever taken. Like I felt like I was in college. Stop. Like it's self-paced, which I love. You have a year to complete it, but you know I started that, and I've just been addicted to herbal healing ever since. So
that's dope. Yeah, that's dope. I love it. I love it. So, what are some of the benefits to a yoni steam, and what herbs do you most commonly use for it?
So the benefits are endless, honestly. Like the benefits are insane. So just to name a top off of my head, it helps lighten your periods, helps eliminate cramps, removes any uterine stagnation that's on your uterine wall. So any type of old blood or anything that has not been released, because that can also cause cramping. It helps with infertility. It helps with vaginal infections, menopause. If you're somebody who kind of needs a little bit extra lubrication and higher libido, you know, people who are going through menopause, sexual trauma, it helps shrink and, you know, eliminate fibroids and cysts. So it has a lot of benefits. The herbs that I feel like mostly anybody could use, nettles is really good. Nettles is really good as far as like for that kidney health, but like also moisture. Regardless if you're somebody who is suffering from infections over, you know, overheating your body, or if you are going through menopause. Nettles is a really good one across the board that I would suggest. Lavender is good, but only a little bit, because lavender is more of a, what's the word? Antiseptic? I think that's the word. But it's more of a drying herb. Gotcha. So, you know, it's good for bacteria too. So, like, you know, that's something that you would only use a little bit of, but that's something that I feel like everybody across the board can use. So those are probably my top two. But everything else, I usually cater it to your body and what you have going on. So
it's kind of like a personalized package.
Yeah, so it's a personalized package. Like I have a set for formula, and then you can kind of read what's for what, and then that's how you create the blend, or that's how you know which blend is more so for you.
Yeah, I remember I got my first vaginal steaming in Atlanta, I want to say. It's actually right before COVID. I went down to Atlanta for my birthday, and we had like this whole turn-up session, and it was just really dope. It was interesting. Like we were actually, it's so funny, we were all able to be in the room together. So me and my friends just kind of like, girl, this heat is aggressive, and like, cause the heat, and so we're calling the lady, like, can you turn this down a little bit? And we're just kind of like all fascinated. We're like, are you sweating a lot? And, you know, what? How do you feel? How do you feel? Yeah. So it definitely piqued my interest then, because it was kind of like becoming trendy. So I'm just like, but like you, I went down a rabbit hole when I got back, and of course, we came back on Monday. By that Friday, the world shut down. So that Friday, my job was like, take everything home. We're not sure when we're gonna open back up. So that, and I'm like, wow, like we were really outside living our best lives. I know. For a whole week.
Listen, I'm glad y'all got one good party
in before the world shut down. Yeah, so definitely came home, was looking into like I was into planting at that time, and then that's where it just kind of really kicked off. A friend of mine from back home, she owns Full Moon Botanica. Shout out to Allison. Hey, girl.
We love a good botanica.
We love a good botanica. So she had Yoni steams as well. and she had hers prepackaged, and I was just asking her, like, that's when like my spiritual journey really started kind of kicking off and everything, and I was asking her what kind of herbs they have. So I was actually doing my vaginal steaming at home.
Yeah.
And I'll actually do a video on how you can do it at home if you can't really afford to go to a licensed practitioner or certified practitioner. And I was, had my pot, squatted over it, and we just kind of letting it steam. One thing that I immediately noticed is a lot of times after we have our periods, you get that brown discharge for like a couple of days afterwards. Yes. I noticed that went away right away. Like by like my next period, I didn't have that leftover discharge.
And it's so crazy because that happens because a lot of times we don't complete a full cycle. Mm-hmm. We don't complete a full period. So that's our sign that, I'm almost done, but you're supposed to start off bright red and end bright red. Right. So when we talk about cramps and like, oh my God, my cramps are horrible the first beginning, it's because that brown period that we're seeing, that's what's left over. Residue. Like, it's residue. So imagine you have all that on your uterine wall, and now it's time for you to shed and have your period, and you're still contracting, trying to get all that off of there. That
makes so much sense.
Exactly.
So that was like one of the things that I noticed immediately. Other things was like cramping, but I noticed the cramping more so shortly after that. I also did a cleanse. So eating is also a big factor in how your cycle is.
100%.
100%. I did this cleanse. My period came and gone in like 3 days, no cramps, no nothing. And I was like, damn, if I could only keep this up all the time. So that was probably like the best period I had, but the cramping, and then and then I saw one doctor, they were like, there's no point to the vaginal steaming. You're actually sweating. Like, you're actually sweating. No, the steam does not go all the way up in you, but it's the sweating that kind of removes all of that excess, right?
Yeah, and the herbs that you're steeping as well. So like we said, every herb has a different property, a different type of help that it does. It's a different mission. So that on top of you draping that on you, like, it's easy to penetrate. Right. You feel me? Like, it makes sense. Like, for example, I'm trying to give an example. Like, fresh out the shower, right? Your pores are open. Right. So now that's the best time to lotion your skin so you can get in that moisture, or washing your face and you add in that your serums. Like, that's kind of what it is when you're steaming. Like, that's the best time to probably add in those medicinal purposes, because that's when you're going to get the best benefits.
And that makes sense because it's similar to like a sauna. So like your pores are open and the
sweat is taking out the toxins. Exactly. So
and that's kind of helping with that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. When is it not okay to do a steam?
So there's some strong no's, and then there's some make your the best discretion for yourself. So strong no's if you're pregnant. That's an absolute no. Because when you steam, sometimes it can soften your cervix. Yeah. And you don't want to risk anything hindering your pregnancy. Another a hard no is when you're bleeding. So when you're freshly bleeding, like, you don't want to, because that's just going to cause you to bleed more. Also, if you've had 2 periods within a month, that's probably not the best time to steam either, because you got to figure out what's going on with that. Now, ones where you can do, but on your own discretion, if you have what is it like? I want to say, is it Maria? What is it?
Like an IUD?
IUD. Okay. IUD, of course, be careful with that, because again, your cervix can soften and it can fall out. Yeah. If you are somebody who has herpes, you can steam, but you can't probably steam as long. It's up to your own discretion. Okay. So if you're somebody who has herpes, then I would say maybe a max of 10-15 minutes. Nothing that's super hot. That can cause a breakout. Right. So even if you might not use a gown, you probably just want to like simmer over it. I'm gonna say simmer. That sounds real crazy. I don't want to say simmer, y'all. Take that out. But steam over. If you want to do that without the cloak that is always provided, then that's something that you can do. But those are like the top ones. Okay. When you should not.
Okay. Steam. So now I did hear that when you get closer to labor and delivery, you can steam.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, so when you get closer to your due date, you can steam because again, like it helps with your cervix and it also softens the skin and the tissue and it prevents tearing.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's actually studies shown where you can steam while you're actively in labor as well.
Oh, wow.
So that's something that you can do. You can actively steam while you're in labor to help that labor process because a lot of times we do run into issues where you might tear or you might rip. So
Right.
it definitely helps. And it's great for postpartum healing as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I have to make a note.
We're going to get into it.
Yes, we are. Well, you kind of did touch on this, like the connection of menstrual cycles. How is Yoni Steaming connected to infections like STIs or anything like that? And then we can touch on fertility, infertility, and sex.
Okay. So I'll break it down and start with menstrual cycles first. It's really good, like I said, we talked about the stagnation on the uterine wall.
Yeah.
Also, somebody like for example, if you're somebody who suffers from cramps a lot, right? It's good to steam 3 days in a row, probably before your period or the week before, to prep your body so that you can start to loosen up that stagnation that might be on there to have an easier start into your period. If you're somebody who kind of has, like you said, that brown residue, or you might have, if we're being honest, a little smell after your period, or you are prone to bacterial vaginosis afterwards, then you can steam 3 days after your period is over to just eliminate whatever might still be left in there so that you can have that full cleanse.
Yeah.
That just helps with everything overall. As far as vaginal infections, how infections work, if you're prone to yeast infections a lot, bacterial vaginosis a lot, anything like that, it's more than likely because your body retains heat. So if you're somebody who has night sweats, if you sweat easily, if you're like, as soon as she turned the thing on, you're like, ooh, girl, like, your body retains heat. And when your body retains heat, it builds moisture. And what happens when it's extra moisture and stuff, like bacteria grows and so on and so forth. So with the right herbs, when you steam, you can actually do I don't want to say a really strong steam, but you could actually do a steam where you steam 10 days in a row. And that helps eliminate that bacterial vaginosis and resets your pH balance altogether. So there are protocols that can be created depending on what you have going on. Now, of course, like we talked about, diet makes a lot of sense. We all know that bacterial vaginosis is not just based off of having sex with somebody.
Right.
It's a lot of different takes in that. And then with fertility, you get pregnant with a healthy uterus. So steaming is just kind of setting that tone, getting your cycle on the right path. Like you're making sure that your cycles are coming, when it's supposed to. If you're somebody where your cycles come 27 days or less, you have a short cycle. So our goal is to get you those herbs to prolong it so it gets to the right stage. If you're somebody...
Question. Okay, so my cycle is like, I want to say 25... I would say between 25 and 26 days, right? So it's a shorter cycle. So the average is 27?
27 and 28. Like 27 and 28 is kind of the average. I sometimes have moments where I will have a short cycle too. If anything, I'm either having a regular, I'll put that in quotes, 27, 28, or I'm having a short. I've never had like my period shows up on day 34, but there are women that have that. But for us that might have a shorter cycle, sometimes there are certain herbs that we do or we use, like a gentler herb that won't bring that on,
So with having a shorter cycle, is that more so on the abnormal side? Like I've had that cycle for as long as I was calculating, so I'm assuming
I want to say it's super abnormal because it's still within that 2 day, 3 day, window. I would say when it gets to like 19, 20, like super short, where you're like, oh my god, it's only been 2 weeks or 2 weeks. I think those are the times where we really have to kind of do a deep dive in what it possibly could be, and then try different methods to prolong that. But like you said, like if you're somebody that you're trying to have a baby and you want to make sure you have that fertile window, like those are the times where we can use certain herbs to prolong it to get you on track, and have you sync properly, because you can also sync by eating certain types of seeds, so like sunflower seeds and things like that. That's one thing that you can do, seed cycling. And then of course syncing with the moon.
I was just about to ask you
Yeah.
that.
So
I
sticking with
love
the
that
moon.
idea because that's really what how women used to track their
Yeah.
fertility and their periods is to sync it by the moon.
Yeah.
So it doesn't happen often, but like a lot of times when my period falls on like the moon,
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God, you feel like such a spiritual
I'm
being.
like, oh, I'm a bad bitch.
Like, oh my God, I'm so aligned. Like, I'm so aligned.
I'm so aligned with the moon. Like, I'm a goddess. I feel untouchable.
Me
with
too. When I tell you something, like, it would be like the full moon and like my period would start, or like the new moon. And
yes.
I'm like, oh my God, like
this is
it's
amazing.
me. Like
Yes.
I'm the chosen one. And it's just, but it's so true because like I think that's the moments when you really know that you are in your most aligned space. When you are syncing with the moon. Yeah. And it's the easiest way. Like, granted, I use the flow chart, which is cool, but it's the easiest way to figure out, your period. Like, okay, boom. If I have my period during the full moon, I'm ovulating during the new moon.
Exactly.
If I have my period during the new moon, I'm ovulating during the full moon. So, it's just super simple. Now, there are times when you're in between, and I forgot, it's a purple moon. But it's different. It's a different, name for it. But, those are also ways that you can track your body and stuff like that. You can kind of know that you're on the right spiritual path and health path and all that. So, like, if we were to do all this together, like, okay, I'm trying to be fertile, whatever. Like, I'm going to steam. I'm going to have, that proper diet. Like you said, you don't have to necessarily do a detox, but eating better, having my raspberry leaf tea, like, more than likely your period is going to be so on point and so painless that,
raspberry leaf tea is love. Like, I love raspberry leaf tea. Because I used to cramp, kinda. I never had like really bad periods, but definitely used to cramp, have that back pain. And sometimes I still do, but when I do, I know it's because I have not been eating properly. So I could tell. I can tell. And when I had the raspberry leaf tea, when I am eating properly and on like a balanced diet, things like that, working out, being my best self, and life isn't lifing, like I can definitely tell the difference. But if I'm stressed, eating out every day, not having consistent sleep, that next period is gonna be hell.
It is, and that's the crazy thing. Like, as we get more in tune with our body, we know, like you know what you eat, what it's gonna cause. When you're like, oh girl, this period is gonna tear my ass up. Like, it's like, so I think that's just a great thing. Like, raspberry leaf tea was the very first herb that I tried. And when I say I talked about raspberry leaf tea so much, like, that just happened to be a fluke when I added that. When I started selling, products at the time of COVID, I was like, I should just add raspberry leaf tea. Because I legit drank it all the time.
Right.
And my periods were way lighter. It was way shorter. Like, I would have great periods, but then my period would last the whole 7 days. Like, and they're like, average, like, the healthiest period is 4 days, like 3 days. And I would be, when I say 1 through 7, it's like, oh, you gonna get all of this.
You're gonna get this
like,
whole week.
Right. So, raspberry leaf tea was something that made a big impact on my menstrual health before I even learned about any herb. So if you want to start with any herb and you're like, listen, I don't know what I'm gonna do first, do raspberry leaf tea.
Yeah.
I say that for everybody.
I think that's where I started at too. It's like raspberry leaf tea, okay.
And it's easy. Just drink it.
Yeah. Just drink it. I know they're like, I'm not really a big fan of capsules and stuff. I know they have capsules, but I love the warmth of tea. I just feel like it works better. Like, something in my psyche is like, ooh, this tea is about to go through my entire system. I think it's
the Caribbean in us. Caribbean people love a good tea.
We do.
Listen, we love a tea. You wake up in the morning like, I need some
tea. I need something hot.
You got tea before bed. You got tea in the morning.
Sometimes I eat tea after a meal.
Listen. I don't like the Caribbean. Like, I need tea. It's like,
it'd be dead in this middle of summer, and I'm like, can I have a cup of tea, please? If I go out to eat, like, I just love tea. So. Yeah, tea is just bomb. It's bomb.
100%.
So we touched on sex drive. Did we touch on sex drive?
We did not, but we can.
Yes,
we can. Let's touch on sex drive. Okay, so how vaginal steaming can help your sex drive. As women get older, we are not as lubricated as we once were, and especially with women that are going through menopause. Even after you're pregnant, you're just trying to build that libido. We kind of are suffering from that. And I will say the more pop-ups that I did and the more women that I talked to, those were the top two things. It was something for libido and added lubrication and vaginal infections.
Okay.
Those were the top two complaints that I would get.
Mm-hmm.
So basically with steaming, I would add a lot of the moisture driven, moisture and cooling herbs.
Okay.
So yeah, like the peppermint.
Yeah.
We're adding extra nettles. We're not putting as much lavender. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we're adding some lemon. Like, we're adding things that's going to go ahead and add that moisture in there.
Yeah, it's really like a science to it in a sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really is. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, what's that? A botanist? I think that's the word.
What is
plant doctor?
Yeah.
Whatever. That's what I feel like. But yeah, like there is definitely those herbs that you would put in
Mm-hmm.
that would help with that, and it just kind of, you know, do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
As far as herbs that you could ingest, Damiana is one.
Okay.
That's a great one. You know, slippery elm is another one. You could take slippery elm, probably like a tincture form. You know, that's always good, or a capsule form. Let's see. We got maca. Everybody, maca root.
Everybody getting hip to maca root.
Everybody getting hip to maca root, but maca root and ashwagandha, hands down.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, like that's a good one for men and women.
Mm-hmm.
Can both take maca root. Now, I always say be careful with maca root and ashwagandha because people can end up pregnant real quick.
Quick, fast, in a hurry.
The one thing that I hate and that people say, like when I talk about seeing like, oh girl, I ain't trying to get pregnant. Like, does it get you pregnant? And I'm like, no. You know, unprotected sex gets you pregnant.
Yeah.
And they like, like, but it's just like,
right.
You know, I get what you're saying, what people saying, but it's like, all of these things are getting you at your most healthiest self. And when you're super healthy, your body is supposed to do what it's going to do.
Right.
You know,
it's going to get pregnant.
Yeah, it's going to get pregnant. It's going to, the things that probably would have been difficult before, your body is super healthy now.
Yeah.
So of course it's going to be easier for you to get pregnant now than it was.
Absolutely.
You know, when you weren't doing anything.
Right.
So, yeah.
So the healthier the body, the more fertile.
Exactly. So yeah, the sex drive, yeah. It definitely helps with that.
That's dope.
Mm-hmm.
So, the holistic lifestyles is making a comeback, and I ain't saying making a comeback. It's not really making a comeback. People have been living a holistic lifestyle for centuries now, but it's becoming more trendy, more popular, and so I think there's a lot of awareness with the foods that we're eating, the products that we use,
definitely.
In medicines, how they affect our body. So a lot of people are going towards the natural side of things, right? Mm-hmm. So what other products that you have other than the vaginal steam that you do? What other products that you have that promote holistic lifestyle?
So I have a few products that I have, and I'm really happy that everybody's kind of getting on the train with it.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, because like we're learning more now. I think that's the benefit, honestly, of social media. Social media has its negatives, but you know, you can easily pick up your phone and Google something and get live reviews or, you know, live suggestions from people all across the world on certain things to try. So some of the things that I have right now, black seed, you know, black people, we love some black seed.
Yeah.
I personally, and this is one thing, I don't mind the taste of things. If I know that I need it or it's healthy for me, I'll check it down. Black seed oil is not one of them things.
It's not at all.
I will not drink no black seed. Let me tell you something.
It actually, it made my stomach upset when I tried to take it just by itself.
Yeah, some things like that, to me, you have to put it in something.
Yeah.
Like, I can't just drink that. So, and even then, it's still hard. So I decided to grind that down and put it into a capsule.
Okay.
So for capsules, I had black seed. I had maca root. Like I said before, maca root is just really great for overall hormonal health in men and women. I had hair, skin, and nails. So that's for your hair growth, glowing skin. And with that, I have herbs like horsetail in it, which is good for skin growth. I have nettles as well in there, and a few other herbs.
Okay.
Another thing that I have, which I'm brewing up right now, I'm creating a new tincture line. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with, do you know what tinctures are? Tinctures?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, but for the people that don't know what tinctures are, it's a highly concentrated form of the herb.
Right.
So you can either have it sit in 100% grain vodka or, you know, brandy or something like that, and it'll get all of those medicinal purposes in there. You can also do a glycerite, a vegetable glycerin, which is good for those people who don't want to consume the alcohol. No, the alcohol will not have you drunk. It's not that type
right.
of thing. But I have a few tinctures that's going to be coming out.
Oh, that's dope. I love a good tincture.
Yes, and that's the big thing. I like capsules, but I realize like I prefer a tincture. Like, and I can just squeeze it into a tea or to a juice and drink it and get the same benefits. So like, I have one that's coming out for yeast infections and overgrowth of candida. I have one for overall womb health as far as women, as far as our period, menstrual cycles. Sleepy time one. I have one for men's sex drive, sexual health, and a few other ones that I'm creating, immune boosting and things like that. But I'm really loving tinctures. I also have herbal teas. Okay. So, well, one of the samples that I have right now is a sunrise tea. Okay. So this is really, really good when it comes to increasing your immune system. It's jam-packed with vitamin C. So it has rosehip, hibiscus, lemongrass, lemon peel, cinnamon, just all of those things. It's super refreshing. I love it in the morning. You can have it hot or cold. You're going to enjoy it either way. I have butterfly pea flower tea, which is really cool. It's a nice blue. You know, people just like it for the blue aesthetics, but it has a lot of benefits as far as like non-cancerous benefits in there. High blood pressure, high cholesterol. Skin, slowing down grays. I have a sleepy time tea. That one's really good to just mellow you out and knock you out. Like, you won't wake up groggy or anything like that. And of course, raspberry leaf tea. So those are the main herbal products that I have. And I also have skincare. So body care. I love a good body care.
I love a good body oil.
Listen, a body oil and a nice body butter gets me together. And I have 2 different scents. And as the reviews I've been getting lately, it's been helping people who have eczema. So I really love to hear that. You know, that was really cool. And it's just overall, it's just great. I don't feel like I've worn regular lotion in years. Like, it's been forever. So
I haven't done I haven't honestly done store-bought toiletries in a long time. So I do get my body wash. I use Raw. Are you familiar with Raw? It's like a cold press body wash. Okay. So I use that. I get that from Target. But like my facial products, my body butters and stuff, I started getting Ancient Cosmetics. I don't know if you're familiar. They have like body butters, but like I use a lot of just natural stuff because my body just loves it better. Like when I wear regular lotion, my skin is dry immediately after.
Dry as hell.
So it's like that oil, especially when it's winter. Girl, my skin is terrible in the winter.
Listen, I'm like winter, but it's like I just layer it up anyway. But it's something about me just looking like a glazed donut in the summertime. Like, I don't care. Let me tell you something. The way my skin, like, it's the ongoing laugh. Like when I get up from seats and you just see my leg print, like.
I love it. I love
it. And I think I get it from my mom. My mom, like, watching her lotion her skin up after a shower before she goes to bed, like, we just be looking just from head to toe.
Glazed.
And I'm like, I love it. But the way that I created my products, it doesn't leave you super greasy. It's like even the oil alone is going to keep you moisturized. It's thick enough to do what it's supposed to do, but it's not going to be as oily as like a coconut oil. Even the shea butter, body butter that I created, it's not super whipped and airy, so it's like you don't, once you put it in your hand, it doesn't disappear. It's not one of those where you gotta kind of melt it in your hand because it's so hard, where you just rubbing your hands forever. It's not that. It's just a perfect balance that does what it's supposed to do, melts really nice, and doesn't leave you all greased up.
I love it.
Yeah,
that's dope. I like it.
Thank you.
And what is this?
And our pink Himalayan bath salt. I forgot about that.
This is my
And the pink Himalayan bath salt, what I love about that, I love baths, especially spiritual baths. And, add a little high vibrational rose in there. But, the bubbles and the fragrances, it throws off our pH balance.
Right.
And we want aesthetically looking baths, yes, but not at the expense of, you catching BV. Like, I don't want a bath with that bad.
Right.
So the one great thing about pink Himalayan salt when you take a bath is that it's perfect for detoxing the body. And it's also good, it's safe for your pH balance. And you can also do a spiritual bath with pink Himalayan salt.
Right.
So you can use it for a plethora of reasons, and that's just one of my favorite things to do. So I always keep that like on deck.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you love baths and your vagina is suffering as a result of that, you may want to adjust what you're using for your bath. Definitely get a steam to get that together as well. Exactly. But yeah, baths are dope, but like when I really started paying attention to what was in stuff, like I would, you know, now I just kind of use Dr. Teal's or like, you know, stuff like that. Or
even Dr. Teal's, you felt like you gotta still read. Like
exactly, you gotta still read.
Yeah.
I wasn't using those fragrance bath bombs anymore. It just was not a good look. Like,
it wasn't. But you know, you don't know what you don't know, I always say. So it's just like, that's a time when you just do your research, you know?
Right.
And that's what I love TikTok for. Honestly, I love TikTok, but because like you can type anything on TikTok and you can see 1,000 videos of different perspectives, or you know, an idea like, okay, cool, this is why this is acting like this, or this is a great alternative. So you know, just do a little research. Yeah,
definitely. Research is always bomb. Don't just kind of, even with the information that we're giving you here, like definitely research for yourself. Everybody's body is different, so your body will react to different herbs, different products, things like that. So always do your due diligence in just researching certain things. Do a little skin patch test with certain natural oils before you go lather yourself up, because you know you could have allergic reaction. So the natural things can be allergic to just as much as chemicals. So definitely do your research.
Definitely.
I feel like this is a really important question because I know a lot of people have been using like Amazon and been using like the CVS and stuff like that. How do you source your herbs? Because where you get your herbs from is also very important.
It does. No shade to Amazon, you know.
I love my Prime.
We love a good Prime girl, but you know that is a big thing. And I think sometimes if you also follow Imani, certain things that people suggest after it gets to a certain type of hype, you know, unfortunately you have to mass produce probably, and a lot of the times the good quality, you know, ingredients that once were in there aren't in there. So one thing that I love and I pride myself on is that I go straight to herbal shops, or if I am buying them in bulk, I buy them from a certified like wholesale herbal bulk place, like where the actual herbal shops will get theirs from. So it's like they'll get theirs from, I'll use an example of Star West Botanicals, you know, and if you're familiar with herbs at all, the label will look familiar to you. Instead of going on Amazon and getting Star West Botanicals, go on Star West Botanicals and get it, you know. So there's a lot of places that you can do. Mountain Rose was one of the first places that I got stuff from. I think the reason why I kind of stopped at one point was just because COVID hit, and you know, one thing everybody started doing during COVID was buying all the herbs up. You know, everybody started buying all the natural things and the immune system things. So I think Mountain Rose at that time couldn't keep up with all the orders, and they had a delay. So I couldn't shop with them as much as I want to. But yeah, that's like mostly where I source a lot of my herbs, at least. Like I don't use any fillers. I don't use anything like that, even down to my oils. Like, I try to use 100% like organic oils. Like my body oil only has 3 ingredients plus a little bit of fragrance.
I love it.
Same thing with my butter, 4 ingredients plus a little bit of fragrance. I don't put a lot of stuff.
Too much, I think that's important because even if you go to somebody who does say they do vaginal steaming, or somebody you buy your like they sell the steam in bulk and you can buy it from them, you want to ask them what is in the blend that they're making.
Oh my God, please. That's one thing I say all the time, and I never want to sound like a hater when people say it, but I'm like, be careful where you buy your Yoni Steam herbs from. There's so many people that just, you go on there and just buy it. Again, all of our bodies are not the same. So you might deal with one issue and I might not. Let's use the example again of like heat, right? So if I am somebody who I'm going through menopause and I want that moisture down there, I want all that going on, you're not going to use the same herbs as me if you are suffering from vaginal infections, because you have an over amount of heat in your body. You're creating too much moisture.
Right.
So with that extra moisture, you're creating bacteria. So if I give you my herbs, all I'm doing is just increasing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, or if you have shorter periods and I have longer periods, you taking my herbs is just gonna make your periods even shorter.
Right.
So I think we don't really consider those things as much when we do go and purchase, you know, Yoni Steams online. I just feel like read, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, ask those questions. Also, now that it's top of my mind, do not use those plastic pink bowls to steam.
Oh my gosh.
Don't use those. Don't use that. Why are you using that?
I remember I was seeing that all over social media at one point, and I was like, people are really buying this stuff, and that plastic is not good for you.
Nothing in plastic, and heating anything in plastic up, we know this. Like this, like if everybody remembers, like you're not supposed, even they say don't leave bottles of water in the car during the summertime because it's not healthy.
Exactly.
The toxins in plastic, once it gets heats up, it goes into whatever you're drinking or consuming. So y'all heating up, you know, something in a pink pot,
right?
And even your whole vagina over it, like that's not good. And over on that note, stop sticking them little pearls, them little string pearls in there. Don't.
Y'all.
It's not good for you.
This
nothing should be inside you that long.
Nothing.
Especially if you don't know what it is.
Right. You should definitely know what the herbs are. And what you don't want to do with like those pearls, like you're over cleaning your vagina.
You're taking all the bad.
You're taking all the bad and good bacteria that you need. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like douching in a sense, I guess, right? Like you're taking out, you're stripping your vagina of everything. Yeah. And your vagina needs some of that. Yeah. So just kind of pump the brakes on certain things that are trendy and do your research. Like ask what's in it and read the reviews and you know. I
think that's the one thing though that I will say I don't like about the hype and the stigma that's coming in with vaginal steaming and, you know, yoni health and yoni. Like I think one thing about my brand I wanted to make sure was like I feel like you had two extremes when it came to Yoni Steamin. You either had like the super earthy girl, you know, that wore the ankh and the copper, you know, and I'm, you know, she's vegan, nothing wrong with that, but you know, that just wasn't me. And then you had the other girls who was like over sexual, was like, yeah, get that pussy, look at that, it smell good. It's like, that wasn't me either. And I was just like, listen, like, I know that there's so many more benefits besides the sex part. I'm not a copper jewelry wearing girl.
Like what's the medium? Like I feel like I'm the medium.
Yes, it's like we're the black girls that love to, you know, do what we do. We like to look sexy, we like to look cute. We don't have to be, you know, supernatural and vegan. Yeah. You know, but we still care about the same thing. So I feel like that was something that I prided myself on. And a lot of things that I'm seeing now when it comes to these yoni brands, it's a lot of, do you want your stuff to smell good? Like, you know, do you want it to taste good? That's sex. It's like, it's just very overly sexual, or it's like, you know, we're doing it strictly
for the sex part.
Strictly because, you know, I'm about to go see my man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not really making it a lifestyle thing. And I feel like we need to understand it's a lifestyle, not a temporary, like, oh, I'm about to see my boo next week. I need to steam today. Like,
no.
It's make it a lifestyle. So.
It's a lifestyle, it's health. It's, you know, it's just should be like a part of your practice.
Right.
Yeah, that's I'm so glad you touched on that plastic bin because I was just like, I'm
Girl,
sick of
I hated
it. You did mention this briefly when you were previously speaking. If somebody wanted to start practicing a more traditional or holistic lifestyle, how do you feel like they should start?
I would say there's two ways. I feel like think about whatever your current issue may be, and then pick an herb that would help that. So, you know, if you're somebody that is always, well, I won't say always tired, but you know, if you're somebody who you're tired a lot and you're like, okay, I don't know what I should do first, you know, look at a couple books to see about energy, or like do a detox, because sometimes a lot of times we haven't detoxed ourselves. And I always tell people, you know, when you're about to start a holistic journey, it's great to just start from a clean slate.
Right.
So do a healthy detox or a juice cleanse for a few days, or one herbal detox. The only detox honestly that I take is capsules called CKLS, and it's a healthy herbal detox. It's capsules, and it's nothing that's going to have you trapped in the house or in the bathroom all day.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about that, but it's just a good fresh restart. That, and you're doing a little fruit cleanse at the same time, like that's a perfect time to start with a new herb. Another way I would say is start with one herb. Like my herb was raspberry leaf tea. I heard it was good for womb health and menstrual cycles. So I was like, all right, let's see what it's about. I would just make a tea and I would drink it every day. Like you don't have to do something super extreme, and I think a lot of times we get overwhelmed because herbs can be very overwhelming.
Very overwhelming.
And it literally, and as I'm learning about it, and like certain things with your nervous system and this and that, and you can only have a little bit of this and a whole lot of that. It's like it's a lot of thought and math and science to it. So I always say like just pick one herb and rock with it, and then once you understand that one, then add another one. And go from there. But that would be like my main two suggestions.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Do you think the holistic lifestyle is too expensive?
That's a tricky one. I'll say yes and no. Holistic because I'm thinking about herbs. And building it as a lifestyle, you could get super excited. Stuff can get pricey.
Right.
Like, let me tell you, like, I'll be over here adding a pound of everything, and then it'll add up. Yeah. But I would say the part that I say no is because you can easily find a local herb store in your neighborhood and just get a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, in DC, there's Blue Nile. Right? They're great. They got a lot of herbs in there, Black owned, so they can point you in certain directions. You can get you a little couple ounces of something here and there. I also like Smile Herb in College Park. They have everything. Smile Herb in College Park is really great. I love them. They have everything in there, down to actual branded herbal products, to loose herbs, to teas, to tea bases, to green teas. Like they have everything in there. If you're in Baltimore, I like OK Natural. OK Natural is another place that has really great herbs. So it doesn't have to be expensive. I think it only gets expensive if you're starting a business. You can always collect herbs over time. You don't have to rush and create and collect everything. So I would say no, not necessarily. When you're talking about fresh foods and stuff, go to the farmer's market. Yeah. They have the best, freshest produce. You can also go to the foreign grocery store. I think a lot of people forget about the foreign grocery stores. The Asian markets, the Caribbean markets. Like you can go, because that's another thing. Caribbean markets have herbs. Like that's where we started from. They have the herbs. They got little things of herbs. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's what I miss from being home. Like you were to be able to find herbs anywhere. Yeah. Like here, you kind of have to look for it a little bit, but they're becoming more popular. Yeah. But back home, it was just like you went to the corner store. It was a section of herbs. It was whatever.
And then because they're becoming so popular too, I will say, like you said before, be careful where you get it from. Because I think there's certain laws where you don't have to tell somebody how much of something you have in it, but you can put it on the label. Yeah. So it's like if you really want to get you some herbs, some quality herbs, and you want to make sure that it is what you're getting, go to an herbal store, go to the foreign market. Like I remember what's the herb that everybody, oh my god, my mind is blank. Damn. It's not sea moss. Soursop.
Oh, soursop.
Soursop, right? So everybody's like soursop. But I realized that soursop is in the Caribbean store and it's in a bag and all of these is right there. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it doesn't have to be that hard. And I think it's like $3. Yeah. So yeah.
That's cool. Very valuable information. I hope y'all taking notes.
Yes.
So last but not least, tell us where the people can find you.
So you guys can find me in several places. on Instagram, and you can follow me on brownsugar_co. So brownsugar_co. My website is www.brownsugarco.co. And then on TikTok, Aleecia.v. And those are my platforms. Definitely look out for products that's coming out. I'm gonna be doing more pop-up shops this year too. So last year I didn't do too many pop-up shops, but the girl is back. So I'm signing up for pop-up shops. I'm really excited about that. New products coming out, like I said, tincture lines and things. You know, so I'm super excited.
I'm excited for you. I love it for you, and I love it for our community because we definitely need it.
I know.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
This was fun.
Thank you again, sis, for coming through.
No problem.
You know, Instagram is good for something.
I know, right? I'm like, listen.
Instagram is good for something.
I like social media for these reasons.
This is, because you know, Black girls, we need to be doing our thing a little bit, so it's great when we can come
we're
together.
We're really good shit right now.
Yeah.
I mean, not even right now, just period, but we're really good shit right now.
Like, because we out here, we thriving and just kind of living to our own beat. I love that for us.
So
Thanks, guys. Tune into the next episode and lock in with Aleecia and Brown Sugar Co. Tap into her and her products. And peace.